Slide presentation is in the chat currently. Feel free to ask any questions, and I'll go ahead and let Karen introduce herself.
All right, so hello, I'm Karen Cranmer from Lincoln. I'm the LRC director there, and we have a nice small group, so please feel free to interrupt and ask any questions that you have, or if I'm talking about something that you're already familiar with, we can go a little faster. So Epic is kind of the Netflix of books for kids. Really easy for them to browse. So it's wonderful for independent reading for our students, but also for if we need to or want to assign them specific books. It's also great because everything is available for multiple students to use at once. So it's not like a checkout system where there's only a few copies available. Something that might be a little bit confusing if either you haven't used Epic in a while or if you've looked at their website recently is that there's two versions. So there's the always free version for teachers, which if you were using Epic earlier in your classroom this year, that's what you were using. So that's always free. Generally how it works is that students have access from like 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock just during school hours and not on weekends. And then Epic says that 95% of their titles are available for free. There is also the paid monthly version that parents can purchase for their children. I think that's like $7.99 a month or something like that. And students have access all the time, and 100% of the titles on Epic are available. Now, right now, Epic is offering something that they're calling free remote access. And basically what that is for parents to, for teachers to invite parents to try out the paid monthly version, but for free. So it's, like I said, it's basically a free trial. But again, teachers need to basically give Epic the emails of the parents for that. That is not necessary. The free remote access version is not necessary for us to use it as teachers. So today we're only going to be talking about just how you would normally set up Epic and how you can use it. If getting your family's free access, which extends into the summer a little bit, is something you're interested in, you can visit getepic.com for more emails. But for our purposes, we can ignore anything that says free remote access. So we're going to go over how to create an Educator account if you don't already have one. It's very quick. How to add your students or put those students into groups. How to browse and search for books to recommend to your students or to assign to your students. How to assign those books. And you can do that to individuals, groups, or an entire class. We're going to talk about the quizzes feature that Epic has for their books. And then at the end, Renee will show the student view. So I'm going to now switch over to Epic. So you need to go to getepic.com/educators. And then if you already have an account, you can just click on my account and sign in. But if you don't, just going to click on sign in or sign up for free, either way. Obviously, you're going to sign up as an educator. It's going to ask you some questions. You're going to put in your title, your name, your role. You do have to pick a grade. So if you are a classroom teacher, that's easy. But if you work with multiple grade levels, you just have to pick one of them. So when I set up my class, I just picked 3rd grade since that's right in the middle. You get to pick which reading level you want. So I assume most of us are probably going to want to pick F&P, but if for some reason you want a different one, you can pick that. And that's something you can always go back and change later. And then you do need to type in your school name and address. I have needed to actually type it in myself before. So I'm going to just click on this for the time being because I'm not actually going to finish creating this account. What you're going to do then is click continue. And this is the step you don't want to forget. Don't type in your email and password separately. Just click sign up with Google because then you can do single sign and you just have to click your Google account and you're all good to go. So I'm not going to do that because I already have an account. So I'm going to go back here to my account. And I am already signed in, so when you click on that, you will probably get a prompt to click, sign in with your Gmail, your D303 Gmail. And then once you've done that, you're in. So this page is a little overwhelming looking. This is your home page, kind of your dashboard. I'll give you a quick tour of the tabs. So again, we're on home right now. This shows student reading activity over here, recent assignments. There's, again, the big banner about the free remote access. We don't need to worry about that right now. Topics that you can edit later on. And then information about your class account and your login information. Real quick, I'm going to go down here. This is something you might also be prompted about when you first sign up. But down here in your class settings, you can decide if you want to allow videos or not. I personally think the videos are high quality and helpful for instruction, so I would leave that on. The tab underneath that is allow students to create profiles. I have that on because I have this set up as an option for students in my entire building to be able to access Epic if their teacher hasn't set up an account for them. And I don't mind if they want to set up their own account to be able to keep track of books themselves. However, for a classroom teacher, you're probably not going to want them to make their own accounts, so you could just turn that off. And then you can edit the grade or the reading level system over here. So in order to find out what your class code is, which is what you're going to give to your students so that they can log in, you can either go here, class and account settings. Again, that's some of those same settings that we just talked about. And then your classroom code that Epic generated for you is right here. And that's what you'll share with students. You can also access that here if you go to your name and then click on account settings. It's going to take you to the same page. And then you'll also notice that there's a button right here that says get your students on Epic, and then there's login instructions. Again, it's more of the same. The only reason this might be a little bit confusing is because even though our students are at home, we're not doing remote learning access, so you are still going to click on we're using it at school, even though they're accessing it at home. If you want print instructions that you could save as a PDF and share with families, it'll populate this with your class code, and you can just click print instructions, and then you can save it as a PDF. It gives the information for logging in using a laptop or a Chromebook, or using iOS or Android. And just as a kind of a side note, if your students have D303 provided iPads, the Epic app is already loaded onto the iPad. So all they have to do is tap on that and then enter in their class code. And then for families who chose not to pick up those devices, the app is free, so they can just download that themselves. For everybody else, any students who have Chromebooks, they just need to go to this website that you can share with them, this link, and then enter in their class code. And that saves it on there for them so that they don't have to remember that. Okay, so let's add some students. So in order to add students, you are going to go to My Students and then click on Roster. Now you can see I've got some students in here already. I have, different grade levels for my own purposes, and I added in a few fake students. But to add students, all you do is simply click on Add Students. And then if you have a Google Classroom, you can just click Import from Google Classroom and pull in the students from there, and you save yourself some typing. Otherwise, if you do not have a Google Classroom, it's not a big deal. You can either copy paste all of the names from another document that you have, or you can just type them in. So let's do KDA, and then you just leave a space in between all of them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then click continue. The parent email is optional. Again, that's for if you're inviting them to that remote learning trial. So I don't think you would need to enter that in right now. So you can just skip that, make sure everything looks correct, and then click confirm. and those students are now added. If you want to put students in a group, so let's say you have your reading groups from school and you want to be able to look at that group of students together instead of having to sort through everything separately, you can click create group here. The group name will be visible to students, so make it something that's okay for them to see. So, maybe you have a Monday group or, purple group or green group or something like that. So if I just say purple group and click create, it creates my new group and we wait for it to load. Very slowly. But in any case, your group will show up and then you can click on over here in this drop down, you can click on that group that you've added, or you can click on students and you can assign them to a group or create a group right through here, depending on who you have checked. The last thing I'm going to add about putting your students in is that if for some reason you are concerned that either accidentally or on purpose students are going to tap on the wrong name when they go to sign in, because they'll see everybody in their whole entire class on the login page after they enter in your class code. If you're concerned about that, you can add a 4-digit PIN for every student, and then you would just need to share that with students. That's not something I've done, but again, if you're concerned that either they're going to accidentally go into somebody else's account or intentionally go into somebody else's account, that's something that you can choose to do. Okay, so now let's find some books to assign to your students. There's 2 basic ways you can go about doing this. The Explore tab, actually I'm going to start with the search bar. The search bar is just search for a specific author or a topic or a title that you're looking for. So if you know exactly what you've got in mind, you can just search through the search bar as you would anytime you're using a search bar. If you, especially when you're getting started, want to just kind of browse and explore, you can hover over Explore, and then it's going to give you the different categories of books that are available on Epic. So recommended is just based on, what you've been reading or what is popular. FMP, you can look by specific grade, or sorry, not grade levels, but specific reading levels. Comics is graphic novels. Read to Me are books where the text shows, and also there is a recording of the voice, so kind of like Tumble books. There's videos, and then there's just plain audiobooks, so no text, just something that they listen to. And of course, there's regular books that they can read themselves. There's also topics over here. So you can go to, maybe you need fables, folktales, and myths, or maybe you want some books on bravery. So you're just going to be able to click on whatever topic it is that you're interested in, and it'll show you all of the books that have to do with that. And again, if I click on Explore, I've got my different categories here. So I can click on Fountains of Pinnell if I want to look for my different levels, books of specific levels. I just want to browse and see what's available. Again, comics or graphic novels, or Read to Me or audiobooks. Once you've searched for something specific, either through the search bar, or through your kind of drop-down categories over here that don't want to work now. Then Spider. Either way, you're going to see all of the search results. You can scroll down and click Show More. The books will show at the top, and then there will be videos underneath, and then audiobooks underneath that. But if you want to narrow that down, you've got all of these filters you can choose from. So if you only want to see books, you can click up here, only videos here, only Read to Me books here, audiobooks, and then collections are groups of books that other teachers or Epic has collected and put together. So those are different categories. If you're looking for a collection or a specific book, you can narrow that down by age. That's interest level, not reading ability. So age based on, the interest level. The reading level, again, for Fountains of Pinnell, since that's what we picked, you can decide, okay, you know what, I only want nonfiction books about spiders, so I'm going to click here. Format, you can show if you want chapter books or early readers. Language can be especially helpful if you have Spanish speaking students. You can decide, do I only want English? Do I want English and Spanish? Do I want, another language? And then the last filter is the quiz filter. So some books already have quizzes, like comprehension quizzes written for them, but you can create a quiz for any book, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So if you want books that already have quizzes, you can click this little slide right here. So right now I am showing books of any sort that have to do with spiders that are nonfiction that already have quizzes associated with them. So if I find a book that I like or that I'm interested in, I can click on it to open it up. I can preview the book, look through. To close out of the book, you just have to click the X right there. Oops. And down at the bottom, so it gives you kind of an overview of the book, but down at the bottom, we've got this little teeny heart and then the assign button. As you might expect, the assign button allows you to assign the book to the entire class, or if you want to assign it to specific students, you can check which students you want to assign it to. So you can do that right away, or what you probably want to do first, especially when you're beginning to browse and finding things that you think might be useful for teaching later on, you can click the heart to favorite it and add it to your library. So it's automatically going to just add it to your favorites in your library, and then it'll be easy to find later on. But if you want to make your own group of books about a similar topic that either you assign to students or just it's there for you to pull from, you can click on a collection that you already have, or you can make a new collection. So maybe I'll just make, a spiders collection. And you can decide whether or not you want other people to be able to see your collection or not. So click create. And then I just close out of this box because that is now saved to my library. So in my little library tab up here, I can click on that to find all of those books that I've either saved or have already assigned. All right, so once I have those books, again, I can assign straight from here, or if I've just collected a bunch of books, I can go into my library, show any of the books that I have favorited, any books I've already assigned to students right here, or other books that I've looked at recently, or I can add topics that I want to kind of pop up as those recommended books for me. So for books that I have assigned, if I'm looking under this tab, I click on Assign and View Progress. I can assign this to more students. And from here, I can also, if I just want to assign it to the students in my green group, I can assign students that way. Okay, and then I can also see, yes, please do.
Oh, sorry, there's a lot of feedback. So I was trying to follow what you were doing where you said you can figure out which books have a quiz.
Yeah.
Can you go back and show that again? I must have missed where you went.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're searching for a book. We'll do friendship. Your filters are right here. So I'm going to clear my filters. So the quiz filter is right here. Only show books with quizzes at the end. I'm going to click yes. So now all of these books already have quizzes with them. So let's see if I click on.
Okay, got it. Thank you. I didn't realize you had to do like the initial search first and then select, quiz or not. So that's what I was missing.
You've got to at least pick a topic first. But like I said, the nice thing is that for any book, so once when you open that book, you'll see these little 3 question marks up here. You can look at the quiz, take the quiz, or if you click on edit quiz, you can write your own quiz. And you can do that for a book that does not already have a quiz. You just have to type in all of the questions yourself.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so let's see. We were in our collections and assignments, and actually we're wrapping up. We're just about done with things from the teacher view. So there's, again, if we're in this tab, or if we go back to our homepage dashboard, we can see assign and view progress. So let's see, I've already assigned that. Whoops. I can look back at the book, see other things that maybe I want to assign to my students next. And then if I go back to my students tab, I can click on assignments and see, okay, so I assigned this Afraid book to 11 students, but nobody's completed it yet. And obviously most of mine are nobody's completed these because I'm not usually assigning books to students. It's just that available for them to read, but that's where you're going to see your assignments, your quizzes that you've assigned that go, it just, when you're assigning the book that has a quiz, it automatically assigns the quiz with it. That'll just pop up at the end. So those are your different tabs there. And I think that was kind of the quick overview of everything I was going to show. So I can answer any questions, or I know Renee was going to show what things look like from the student point of view.
Yeah, I'll just pop in and show you very quickly what it looks like from the student side. So there's Karen. But let me go over to my student side. So when students go to Epic, I'm at getepic.com/students. If I'm click educators, I'm at /educators. But students, this is what they would see. And if I was going into a new class, because say Katie made a new class, I could enter that class code that Katie gave to me here and click go, and then I'm in 2 different classes. But I'm already in Karen's class, so I'm going to go in to her class. And then this is where she was talking about adding that pin. So I could click any of these students and get in as them if she doesn't require a pin. But I am in as Mrs. Ignofo, and it just pops up and says, hey, your teacher sent you a book. Go check it out. And so I could click it, and it's going to bring me right into that book. So as she mentioned, there are those 3 question marks because there's that quiz. If I really liked this book, I could click that favorite button, and then it will save into my favorites so that I can go back to it at any time. And notice it tells me the title, the author, and then a super brief synopsis. And then I have the age range with the Fontes and Pinnell ladder because that's what Mrs. Cranmer has chosen. In order to turn the page, I get that little arrow and I just click and I turn and I read. Take a look at all the nonfiction text features. I'll hide that. What you'll notice is when I go in to Karen, what Karen will see is that I did not complete reading that book. And if I did go to the end and hit complete, she'll see that I rushed through it. So she'll have that information within her classroom. The only other thing that I really wanted to show you, students, just like Netflix, they obviously were very intentional about that because kids are used to looking at Netflix. I have my continue reading. instead of my continue watching. Books for Mrs. I, because I have shown that these are kind of interesting topics to me. Books I read, the books that I've read, and then there's my comics. Here's my read to me, recently added books. And then again, like Netflix, I have my arrows so I can go on forever and ever. So I can browse or I can search, just like Miss Crammer did up here. So I could search for spiders as well. Or
Hey, Renee, can I ask you a question?
yes.
One of you said that you can create your own quiz or change the questions following a story.
Mhm.
If you do that, is there a way that you can have your options be pictures instead of text?
Mm,
That's a good question. I don't think so, but let me really quickly look.
Okay, because I'm working primarily with the preschool level, and a lot of them need that picture support to be able to answer or ask the question.
Sure.
And I'm
Yeah,
assuming I'm still going to be sharing it like with their parent so that the parent's reading them the actual question. But I don't want the parent to have to like verbally state them. Like if they could see 3 options and then the
right.
student can just touch one of the answers. I was thinking that, and then obviously mom or dad could still click on it so that we could still get the like the data or whatever from the
right.
quiz.
Yeah.
Right. Let me
That'd be a
see.
great option. Well, Karen looks that up. I'll just show you. When I, as a student, when I click in that search bar, I also get topics, subjects, so ELA, science and art, social emotional learning, math, languages, and then more interests. So I haven't looked at any adventure books, but maybe I love reading adventure and I could click on that and then I would get a list of adventure books here. So that's really all that I wanted to show you from the student side. Karen, were you able to see?
So it looks like the quizzes as of right now are only words, unfortunately. So what I would say is if you do want to do that, you maybe would want to choose something else like a Google form or something like that where you can make a quiz, which obviously is not as great because it's not integrated right in there. But the other thing I would say also is that you can't, Epic has been adding new features and has been working on things. So that might be a recommendation you want to make to Epic. You know, I've put in a couple recommendations of like, hey, can we have more than one teacher on a class? And they haven't done it yet, but they have said that they're working on it. So obviously it's not going to be something that's fixed like right now, but.
Okay, well, thank you so much, ladies. I have another call, so I'm going to say bye. I appreciate it.
Thanks
Thank
for joining
you.
us. And we will wrap it up since we're at that halfway mark. Hi, Tanis.
Thanks, ladies.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
What happens to the videos once they're recorded? Like if I wanted to send it to my teachers, does anybody know?
Well, we are putting our video in